Aaron says, I have a new client in pest control niche. We want to improve his local visibility. His previous vendor placed 2 JSON-LD schemas, one for local business and another following that as service business. I don't even think I'm familiar with what a service business schema is. I'm not sure I've seen that before. Anyways, should I remove the service business schema and continue with the local business? Yeah, because again, I'm not sure what service business schema is. I've not heard that before, but it doesn't make sense to have 2 business type schemas on there. Now, again, you can have organization and local business schema or corporation and local business schema. That it makes sense to do that sometimes, but it doesn't make sense to have 2 types of local business schemas on the same page. That doesn't make sense. So what I would do is and I'll post this link as soon as we get done with the webinar, guys. I'll post this. This is, as far as I know, this is the most up to date. I've always used this as a go-to for years now. But this is the schema list. I don't know who updates this, but pest control service is a professional service, which is a subset of local business schema. In other words, if we come back over to the schema generator tool, if we come up here, go to local business, where was it? Right there. And we look at local business type, you come down here and go to, well, I don't know why it would, there we go. Professional service, which now it's actually local business schema, but the at type is professional service. And again, pest control service, the at type is professional service. And that's the same for tree service contractors too. Or actually they might even be home and construction business. I think they are. Point is professional service is what you should be using, which is local business schema. Does that make sense? You want to comment on that, Mark? Do you know what service schema is? I've not heard that term before.
No.
Yeah, I haven't either.
I mean, yeah, there is probably a service type for service-based businesses. It's always changing, so you always have to stay on and make sure that you're up to date on the most current schema.
Service schema.org type. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, professional service is what I would do if that's part of it. And it looks like
just scroll
right
down
there.
to the
Professional
example.
service, legal service. Yeah. Okay. So that might be what he's talking about. The service type schema could be legal service, professional service. So yeah, what it might be, and I'm just making an assumption here, is that he has generic local business schema, which that applies to businesses that don't have their own specific subset. Like, in other words, industry categories or business types that don't have their own specific subset within local business schema. Then local business schema is the catch-all that you apply to local businesses. Does that make sense? So if it's a service type, then it could be professional service, legal service, government service, financial service. That makes sense. In which case, like I said, yes, remove the generic local business schema and stick with the service-based schema, because that's more specific to pest control service, right? Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, you can scroll to the example, right? They always give you a JSON
here
LD example. Yeah.
Okay, right there.
And that's the one to use. You just clear that stuff out and add your own stuff.
Yep. Interesting. Let me see. At type service. Yeah, there you go. That's interesting. I've not heard of just a generic service type though. That's the first time I've heard that. See how it says at type local business, but then it says at type up here service. So that's kind of like a hybrid between the two.
You can have multiple at types, like you can have multiple at IDs, because one is under provider, and there's even the service type, which defines it's defined in there as weekly, like weekly cleaning, I think it is. This is where you can get really intricate with schema.
Taxi service. Yeah.
And you're explaining everything, exactly everything, name of the driver.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. I'll have to dig into that a little bit more. But yeah, I would recommend just having, unless they're all in the same snippet, right? The same code snippet, I wouldn't have 2 separate versions of structured data. If you can combine them and it validates correctly, then yes, I would do that. Very cool. Anyways,
you can. This is what, and I know we're running over, but you can get so intricate with this because you can have an organization, right? An organization that's a local business, that's a service, that has whatever employees, and then you go, they have an author that's also an employee, and the several different numbers, contact points. You can get really intricate with your structured data, which you should be, because you have to remember, you're talking to a machine that's trying to fill in variables. It's trying to pull all of this information that you're feeding it and looking for that ultimate entity to compare against whatever is in the database, in the relational database, relating all of these different entities to that ultimate entity that's in that database, and all of those other entities to one another. It's trying to define, it's the machine trying to define which one is best for the searcher at that particular time, which is why you often see, like you'll be standing, and I've tested this in New York City, by the way. You'll be standing on one side of a building. I've had someone stand on one side and do a search and get one set of results, go to the other side, to the middle of the block, right around the corner, middle of the block, and get different results. And awesome. It's served right at that point, boom, boom, boom. And it's just all of these relationships that the artificial intelligence is trying to create at the local level for that person doing that search. It's really interesting how intricate you can go. And again, it's something that we'll be getting into in the Heavy Hitter Club as we go really deep into what technical SEO is, how to approach this, and especially how you manipulate entities for your convenience and for maximum gain.
That's some interesting stuff, man.